Well, hello there, ladies and gents. It's great to see you again. Welcome back to Path to Abundant Living. Ryan Ruff, your moderator here. But as always, I'm joined alongside the show by Scott Morrison and Matt Nordman of Morrison Nordman. And look, we got a fun one today. I mean, you can't miss it. You can't deny it. Social media is a pillar in the lives of so many people out there. It's caused influence and decision making across the board, and of course, it's eked its way into financial decision making. So, our tongue-in-cheek title today: should TikTok be managing your retirement or your financial planning? Well, we've got a good one on tap today. Look, we can't avoid it. If you're on social media, you're likely getting hit with different financial advice in one way, shape, or form. And we're going to talk about that today and how it can be misleading or whether or not there's something actually worth listening to. So before we get into it all, let's go ahead and say hey to the fellows. Matt and Scott, good to see you guys today. How we doing?
Ryan, what's up? Scott, good to see you this
Good
morning.
morning, Matt.
How are
I am
things?
awesome. How about yourself?
How are things? Did you get to see the grandkids this weekend?
I did. I did see some grandkids. Two of them. Two of
Two,
the seven.
two of the seven. Nice. How about Ryan? How's your little guy?
Little guy's good. Guys, he's crawling up a storm now. He is flying through the rough household these days. So long are the days of putting him down and walking away and being knowing I'm coming back and he's gonna be right there. So it's busy. It's a busy time in the house these days. But
I remember those days.
exactly. Well, guys, we're talking about an interesting one here today. Social media, you can't miss it. It's in everybody's life in one way or another. I'll throw kind of an opening question to you guys to kind of get the wheels turning a little bit. If someone out there on TikTok or Instagram has a Lamborghini and they told you to invest your retirement account in this next can't miss opportunity, right? It's always a can't miss. Would you do it?
So Lamborghini, no. Ferrari, maybe. I was kidding. I'm a Ferrari guy. Um, well,
I think I'm supposed to ask, did they rent it or is it theirs?
Fair point.
that's the thing that there's a lot of flash, right? I generally, people have to get views. And so how are you going to get views? If you show up in a Toyota Prius as this financial expert, probably a lot of people won't think that you know what you're talking about. Now, that being said, if you read a book from years ago called The Millionaire Next Door, people who have wealth generally, many of them don't flaunt it in that way. But you got it's all tongue in cheek.
I was just going to say, I mean, obviously, if the Lamborghini is part of the commercial, I mean, it immediately kind of makes you think, okay, is this about greed? Is this about envy? Is this something that's already influencing me? I have to be careful because I can't make a decision just based on what somebody else is driving, or at least proposing to me they're driving.
Sure, sure. Well, guys, I mean, there's been studies done on this, and it's not even just the young investors anymore. There are many ultra wealthy investors out there that are, in fact, getting financial information from social media. So, in looking at research along these lines, what's jumped out to you guys the most?
There are so many people from all age demographics, generally younger. Like if you look at the CEG Insights research, and I believe you could probably put the link to it. So many people get their information from social media. Not we won't even get into AI yet, but when you look at there is so much that's out there, and I believe a lot of it comes from the FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. If somebody else is doing something, I want to learn about it or I want to hear about it. And we, what are the two things that run the world? Fear and greed. And greed is a big motivator. And if I see somebody else who appears to be successful and authoritative, then hey, maybe I'm going to listen in.
Well, the other part of that, though, guys, is that there's so many intelligent people out there that are still taking in this advice, despite maybe the smoke and mirrors or that almost fake level of authority that exists, Matt, that you just mentioned too. Why do you think people are so easily influenced these days?
I, Again, I believe people don't want to miss out. Like we as a general community of people, right? We want to see and lean towards, well, they seem to be doing well. What are they doing? Right? And with this microwave society that we live in of instant, 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 if somebody grabs my attention, right? That algorithm is going to continue to feed more and more to you. If you look, there are certain people on television who have garnered very large audiences, and radio. Radio is a medium, Ryan, that used to be around and was the only way to hear people.
I believe it. If you would believe me or not, I have done radio work. I promise you.
Anyway, so we hear these people who are authoritative, and we say, "Wow, I maybe I should listen to them a little bit more and lean in more and lean in more." And you know, famously, there's Jim Cramer and Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey, right? Are three that come to mind. There used to be somebody, what was he called, the wealthy barber or anyway, he was on TV for a while. There's been people on television, and now with social media, there we are inundated with quote unquote experts.
I think one of the biggest things that I try to remind myself about social media, technology, or whatever, it is, as much as it's enticing and as much as it's something that's new, it's really, it's just another tool. We've always had tools. We can go back as far as you want. There's always been a new technology. The new technologies today are far, better than what we had, 50 years ago. But they still existed then. There was still, radio was new at one time. Television was new at one time. So I think we have to remember that all of these tools are very exciting as long as you still treat them as a tool. As long as you still go that one step further to say, okay, I'm getting some information. How do I verify it? How do I confirm it? How do I, you know, and Matt alluded to AI. I mean, that's one thing where I didn't understand how well AI would come to serve me in that regard. The questions that I've asked AI that I already know the answer to are coming back to me to confirm that I knew what I was looking for. And so it gives me confidence that people now with AI will be able to, do some fact checking and do some confirming on whatever they're getting on social media. Certainly, I would love for them to call a real, somebody who's a living, breathing person who's a professional and has some experience. But there are, as long as I think that we understand that these are tools and that we got to be really careful of, the advertisement, make sure that that's not the first and foremost goal of whoever's talking.
Very good point. And guys, I want to, we kicked off the show kind of almost in a pseudo negative connotation, but I want to take a step back for a second because not all of the advice out there from these financial influencers is bad advice, right? Like, what do you say to those that exist out there that are giving good advice and are doing so with, dare I say, a fiduciary duty there?
Yeah, there are some that are out there. There's no doubt. It's kind of like in our profession, right? There are those that are really good and really um, knowledgeable about what it is they do, and then there are some who are really in it for themselves and just trying to make a buck. It's no different with finfluencers, right? Financial influencers, and just know the loudest voice isn't always the smartest voice. Sometimes it might be. It's just like Jim Cramer and Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. They have good advice. Now, is it perfect for everyone all the time? No. You can't use terms, at least in our belief, you can't use terms of always and never. And right, like Scott said, it's a tool. And there are people out there who are using this tool to really help and educate people, or are they using it to benefit themselves? It's kind of like in the years ago in the tech bubble of 2000 2002. There were some people. It was called a pump and dump scheme, right? They were out there pushing certain stocks to pump up the stock price. Well, they bought it low. They were out there promoting, pumping it up, and then they would sell, and it wasn't, a good investment for people. So be wary, but know that there's good advice out there.
Well, and I think we'd be silly to say that, we're just treating social media as something that we're combative with. I mean, what are we doing right now? At this very moment, we are in a podcast, okay? And there are people out there who are blogging, and there are people out there who have a Facebook page and LinkedIn and that kind of thing. These are all ways for, because we know that our audience or our potential clients are all using any combination of these tools. So for us to ignore them would be silly. If it means we have a younger client who prefers to communicate to us through social media, then we better offer that as a resource to them, or else we're going to alienate that particular part of our clientele. So again, it's there's certainly experts out there. I'd like to think that with 30 years of experience, Matt and I have a little you know something to offer people, and here we are on a podcast trying to scale our business in terms of looking at all the potential people that are out there that can benefit from this information. Certainly our own clients as well. But yeah, I think it's all about how the tool is going to get used.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, you guys, like you just mentioned, I mean, 30 years worth of combined experience in working through financial services and helping people make calculated decisions based on their goals, their needs, their desires in life. I got to ask, what are some of your favorite red flags that you've heard or seen out there on social media from some of those financial influencers?
The I guarantee if you do this, this will happen, right? The guarantee really gets people, and because we as humans like to know, oh, well, if I do this, it will happen. There's no recourse whatsoever for that social media person, other than okay, they might get some bad reviews, maybe, right? But beyond that, is that going to really hurt them?
The one that always gets me is, without pointing fingers at any one particular person or product, is just that guarantee that how would you like to own an investment that you always participate in market rates of return with no downside?
You can't lose.
You can't lose, like
No.
Ryan said.
So yeah, I mean that if they don't go any further than that, uh, that's a pretty big red flag.
I think my personal favorite is this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. We've never seen anything like this before. I mean, how many times have just the three of us used that phrase and talked about how overused it is in financial services right here on this show? That's one of my favorites. Is oh, you can't miss out. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's a good comment because it gets you to take action or to motivate you to move on it if you feel like you're missing out on something. So that's personally my favorite. But
I can see it, right? Because it causes engagement, and you're like, wait, well, I need to lean into this one, right? Well, what is it, right? If you whether it's online and you're watching some sort of a video, right? They come out every so often, and they're out again right now of I've been doing this, somebody who, gives all the authority of, boy, there's certain events that are occurring that I've never seen in my career. I've only seen once in my career, and this is what happened during that time, right? A big increase or a decrease in markets. And we can see the patterns occurring again right now. And you're like, okay, that might be, right? Might not be. But what's the motivation? Is it to educate people? Is it to sell something? Right? Does it get you to buy into their subscription model? Again, it's not good or bad. Just do your research.
yeah, and speaking of research, I want to jump back to that report, Matt. You had mentioned some of the CEG material. It specifically zoomed in on the millennial and Gen Z generations and noticed how there's definitely an uptick in the amount of those two generations that are engaging or listening to and adhering to the financial advice that's coming through social media. Should that, as a fellow millennial, should that concern us? Like, is that something we should really be keeping an eye on?
Well, you should, again, where you get your information from, is it an echo chamber that's just going to reinforce everything that you believe? Or is it going to challenge your thought and say, okay, have you thought about, have you thought about with your plan? Again, AI or financial influencers or social media, it's not necessarily good or bad. It's that tool like Scott referenced earlier. How are you using it? There is good information. The internet itself is not bad, right? Social media in itself is not bad. It's how is it used? and how do you consume it, you, the general you?
I think that anything that, when you ask yourself, whatever tool I'm using, does it know my name? Does it know my family? Does it know my tax situation? Does it know does it know you personally? If the answers to all of those things are no, then understand that whatever you're watching is generalized to a general audience. And that if you want something that's actually tailored to you and your needs, you're probably going to have to do a little bit deeper digging than just what you might be finding on social media or an app.
Ryan, I remember years ago that there was a study done that says, when people get to a certain level of assets, wealth, whatever term you want to use, there a lot of people are do-it-yourselfers, DIYers, and they're like, hey, I'm really comfortable at this level. I'm really comfortable. And it's no different today. People are really comfortable using AI to a certain level or listening to that advice. But most people finally will get to a level, and it's different for everybody, whether it's $100, $1 million, or $100 million, whatever, where they're like, yeah, I can use and take that advice, but am I going to really trust it with my wealth? Maybe a portion of it, yes, but hey, am I really comfortable turning over my financial life to what this person online is saying or to the AI?
That's a strong point. It's the trust but verify kind of thing. Also, guys, I mean, you can't compress a retirement strategy or a tax strategy or even an estate plan into a 30-second dance video, right? Like these complex problems need to have thoughtful conversations around them, like period, end of sentence. But to take that a step further, in your eyes, what seems to be one of the biggest financial mistakes that you see social media encouraging these days?
Well,
I know that's a loaded question, but like, I mean, there's a lot of them out there.
there's one that's some people would call it gambling online. We could go down that rabbit hole for a long time. Um, that's one that's just going to erode wealth over long term. Again, they don't build casinos or they don't build these apps because they're giving money away, but that's another story. It's really trying to figure out, okay, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve, whether it is short term, medium term, or long term? And saying, okay, the plan that I'm putting in place is going to achieve those goals. Well, I don't want to do that. I want the next hot stock tip or options trading strategy that will make me wealthy overnight or very quickly. Right? There's an old phrase that Scott's heard me say it a lot, and I can't credit who I heard it from, but pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. Right? If you have your plan, what are you trying to achieve, which for most people is take care of their loved ones, the causes they care about, and make a difference in the world? Or are you like, hey, I just want to make as much money as fast as I possibly can? Well, just go to your local, either your online casino or your local casino, put it all on red or black, and double your money instantly. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that.
I think obviously I'm trying to think of things that are most recent. Anybody who would get in front of you on a camera who would talk about crypto, for example, something where somebody actually, can point at a real success story of I made this much money in this short period of time. Um, when the fact of the matter is, there's people who've made a lot of money on a stock you've never heard of. Um, I can think of a small company that was, started out at a buck 90 and is now selling at $22 a share. Now, it's not anything that anybody would want to have a 30-second video on because it'd be boring. So, I think part of this whole thing is about that the younger generation needs to be careful of is making sure that you feel relevant and that you're not looking to be relevant on through social media because I think about when people used to want to get into show business, how many different doors had to be opened for them to get the opportunity. Whereas now with social media, with internet, anybody with a talent can use these tools to become famous because they actually have a gift. They actually have something to share. So as long as I think you're looking for information and looking for the information on the investment and doing your research and use the social media as the starting point, but then to do, complete research, whether it's through, deeper dives through the internet or through a professional, asking those questions, then I think that you can actually talk about something that's exciting. And if it's something where it's like, hey, I want to get wealthy fast, hey, there are legitimate ways to take risks, knowing that you're taking the risks that it could happen in a short period of time, but it might also take 10 years.
That's a good
So,
point.
I think that's where we just have to keep ourselves in control in terms of using that kind of medium.
Well, let's dive into the verification process that we've been kind of elaborating. Like, you can take on good advice, but you got to verify it. So, if somebody out there sees an interesting video and it piques their curiosity, and let's just say, for the fact of the matter, it is good advice. What should somebody be doing? Like, what are some actionable questions they could ask themselves, or how would you encourage them to verify or go through the process of truly recognizing that it is good advice and it is worth acting on? Walk me through your thoughts on that.
One would be, is this the only person saying this? Now, again, are there times where, a blind squirrel finds a nut? Yes. That nobody else saw the thing that just occurred. Is that possible? It's definitely possible. But if you're really trying to build wealth as opposed to get on the next hot thing, right? Other people are going to have a similar opinion. So there, my wife was listening to Ryan. Have you ever heard of the Diary of a CEO?
Yes, yes, it's a great show.
It's a great show. It's phenomenal. My understanding, because I've seen some of it, my wife watches, and I'll be in the background, kind of like leaning in, going, "Oh, that's really interesting." The I don't know if it's the most recent. He had a gentleman on there, very authoritative. I think he's. I didn't do the research because I was like, "That's really interesting." He is a markets are going to crash. Crypto, Bitcoin in particular is going to zero. Get out of markets. The world is ending. Versus the Warren Buffett mindset of, right, buy, hold, invest long term. And this gentleman was older. I don't think he's as old as Warren, but you know, clearly authoritative. And you're like, okay, well, which one's right? Well, what's your time frame? So doing more research and saying, okay, is this the only person who's saying what I'm hearing?
Scott, what about you?
What I tend to do is sometimes I'm not pretending to know what is in every single money manager's portfolio. But if I can look across a number of different growth portfolios in particular, and I'm looking for that position of the one that's being told is the next hot thing, if I can find it in somebody's position, then that's probably a pretty good, that's probably somebody saying, hey, they're willing to take that risk on that in their portfolio. So if it's something where it adds diversification to my portfolio and provides me with an opportunity, then I would take it more seriously. If it's something where, like Matt said, if it's something that's being encouraged and yet I can't find it anywhere else, then especially with as much access to information as we have, I'd be nervous.
That's a good point. And guys, I mean, we've talked about today already, like how algorithms in your TikTok feed can be that echo chamber. I love that term, Matt. It's perfect to describe it. They don't know your situation, your taxes, family goals. They don't know that. And therefore, that's why deeper, complex conversations with trusted fiduciary professionals are always going to be more valuable than scrolling, TikTok. So I want to jump down to kind of our next question though, talking about the idea of mental health and where it connects to the greater side of investing and consumption of material that is very much targeted towards your emotional and mental health towards investing. So talk me through this idea of mental health and where it pairs with the investment strategy and social media today.
We talk about this all the time. We have two brains, right? We have our emotional brain and our logic brain. And our emotional brain is significantly bigger. We can, outside of any event occurring in our life, we can logically say, these are the steps that I should take. And as Scott has alluded to in the past, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? And when you get punched in the face, whatever that looks like in your situation, now emotion starts to take over. And how many times we go, oh, wait a minute, I have a plan for this. No, it's like the emotion takes. So it's really saying, okay, has anything changed as a result of this event for what I'm trying to achieve for myself, my family, my business, whatever it is? And if it is, then okay, maybe the plan needs to be adjusted. But it's really having that plan in place before the what ifs occur.
Yeah, I mean, that's the scariest thing for me now with seven grandchildren all under the age of seven. Is are they going to feel relevant as people, you know, psychologically strong people, people that can offer the world something, but not feel like they have to do it through the internet? Do they feel like that person before they jump on their computer or on their phone? Or are they looking for that validation in the phone or the computer? Because if they're looking for that validation as a person from either other people on the internet or through the social media where all they're seeing is somebody else's life's highlight reel and wondering how come theirs isn't going as well, then that's when I get nervous if there's not a strong enough, whether it's family, whether it's spiritual, whatever it is, where is that person feel most relevant? When they look in the mirror, do they like what they see? Do they see somebody that, is important to the world or important to their families? And if they don't, my fear is that they go to the internet to find it. And I think that's where we run into the mental health problems.
Amen. Preach it. Preach it. Yeah, it's that, right? Comparison is the thief of joy. And that's where, you, again, have your plan, have that foundation like Scott's talking about, and then build from there. Use the tools that are available, but don't solely rely on them as, right? Because whether it's fear, greed, envy, whatever it is, right? You will be fed more of what it is that you continue to consume.
And that's as old as time.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the internet. People had vices long before the internet.
Very true, guys. As we're nearing the end of our episode, I want to jump into kind of a fun idea here today, kind of a lightning round, if you will. Matt, I'll throw the first one over to you. Next one over to Scott. We'll go back and forth here. Uh, if someone has 1 million followers, huge following, they're probably a financial expert, right?
No, not necessarily. Again, they have followers for a reason. They might have good information. Doesn't mean that you should take it as gospel.
Love it. Scott, every investment opportunity should be acted on immediately to capitalize on the opportunity.
Yeah, that's a myth. It'd probably be better, probably be wiser if you would at least sleep on it. Maybe check with a few other resources.
I love it. Matt, back to you. Good investing, it's usually boring.
Yes. Yes. If you want to build wealth, it is boring, which doesn't get views and clicks and followers.
And Scott, if it sounds too good to be true, fill in the blank.
Yeah, it usually is.
Well said, gentlemen. I want to kind of close it down now with kind of a final question and kind of biggest takeaways, closing words and thoughts, if you will. Scott, let's start with you. What would be some of your biggest takeaways from today's conversation, and what you would want our audience to walk away with, knowing and thinking about the way they perceive financial advice on social media?
Well, I think that again, if you really will try to understand the internet as a tool and the financial resources that are available to us. I mean, there's so many, and there are good and there's bad. There's always been good and bad. Take the time to find the good, and also take the time to weed out the bad, because it's both. It's out there. It's always been out there. Whether you go back as far as the traveling salesman or the guy that went around with a horse and cart selling the next new medicine. I mean, do your research.
And Matt, what say you?
I will agree with Scott, and there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of great information out there. But make sure you have your plan, what you're trying to achieve, right? What are the things that mean the most to you and your family and your business that take you to that next step, that essentially that's why you're getting this information is, hey, I want to improve my situation. Have a plan in place and then get the information that will help you achieve that plan wherever you get it from. But then again, verify the information. If it's just somebody that's out there, hey, I got 1 million followers and I'm driving around, or I'm in front of my Lamborghini. Yeah, do your research.
Can't drive that point home enough. Gentlemen,
What about you, Ryan?
ooh. Yeah, I mean, trust but verify, I think is everything in this account. There are absolutely compelling people out there on social media. I see it coming through my feed, and it makes you think. It might raise some eyebrows, but then I think a big part is how many people are saying this. I think that's a big part of it. Is this the only person? Are they standing in front of the Lamborghini? It's look at everything else that's happening in the video and think about the intentionality behind the production that is the video. And I think a lot of the time you might be able to answer your question as to whether or not this is something worthwhile or not. And if it is, go talk to your trusted advisor. Go talk to somebody, even if it's a family member, a friend, somebody who you could even just bounce your thoughts off of, to just have that first layer of verification, let alone a trusted layer of verification with your financial advisor. And speaking of that, guys, if somebody out there was to see something compelling and want to have the conversation about whether or not this is something worthwhile for them, and they either don't have a team or they would like to just bounce it off of you guys because they spend so much time listening to us on this show, what's the best way somebody could reach out to you guys?
For those that are tech savvy, Morrison Nordman, 2 N's on the end of Nordman.com. Just click on a link, get to know you call. Or the traditional way, pick up the phone, 517-333-7967.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, I know you got clients to serve, so we'll let you get back to doing that. But thanks for carving some time out for us today on the show, and we'll see you back here on the next one.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. Have a good one. See you soon, Scott.
Of course. And well, look, folks, we hope today's conversation really helped you to go on and spend and give fearlessly in your life. If you enjoyed today's discussion, if you learned a thing or two, make sure you hit that subscribe button on whichever platform you checked us out on today, so that you don't miss out on any future conversations where we bring on some esteemed guests or dive into these wealth management topics to help put you on that path to abundant living. At Morrison Nordman, they're known for helping families build confidence, clarity, and that life of abundance. So let's continue to do that through this show. But look, for Matt and Scott, I'm Ryan. We're going to go ahead and say so long, but we appreciate each and every one of you stopping by and being with us today on Path to Abundant Living.